What's going on, guys? It's Kev with the Screen Squad. I think you know why we're here. Just finished watching the Season 2 finale of House of the Dragon, and as I promised, I will be doing a review for Episode 7, The Red Sowing, and the finale, The Queen Who Ever Was. So right off the bat, we're going to start with The Red Sowing before we even get into the finale. This episode made a lot of things clear, why we've been spending so much time with certain small folk, how both Daemon and Rhaenyra can turn the tide, but it didn't finish with any spectacular confrontation or battle scenes. And that's not to say, however, that The Red Sowing is boring or lacking of tension. There are a couple slightly incredible sights, but generally it roars along like a dragon that just took a new rider, which is a key issue this episode, dragon riders. And what does it mean to be a dragon rider in Westeros? Traditionally, it's been a status tied to the ruling Targaryen house and key to Westeros' divine right to rule. Literally, the dragons are seen as gods and have proved key to the Targaryen dynasty as a whole, and this generation in particular. If Viserys had not ridden Balerion the Black Dread in his young days and the dragon's old age, he might not have been appointed king over Rhaenys. If the dragons had not accepted Rhaenyra's children by Sir Harwin Strong, they might have been denounced as bastards, something that Rhaenyra's son, Jacaerys, angrily points out to his mother, and if they're willing to accept low-born bastards, the foundations of Targaryen rule are shakier than they knew. Combined with the murmurs that greeted the recent parade of Melissa's severed head through King's Landing, this could be bad news for everyone, but while there might be trouble ahead, as always, this episode saw Rhaenyra on the up. We open with the striking sight of her and Syrax on the beach facing Adam of Hall and sea smoke, and he quickly makes it clear that the dragon chose him rather than he choosing the dragon, and that he respects Rhaenyra as his queen and that he thinks this is all the will of the gods. Notably, he does not mention that Corlys Velaryon, her hand, is his father. Instead, he has an intensely awkward conversation where both he and Corlys step around the truth, with the older man nevertheless betraying just a hint of pride. He's even happier later when Adam's brother Alan claims to be of Salton Sea and have no interest in dragons. Inclined to piety herself and warming to Adam's attitude, Rhaenyra slightly lowers her guard, escorting him back to Dragonstone. There she skips her council again and goes straight to her sometime make-out partner, Mysaria. The two of them together start strategizing how they're gonna get more bastards to attempt to claim the dragon. Rhaenyra is fired up and wants Adam taught High Valyrian and proper dragon riding practices. She also starts to hit her books again to look for more Targaryens of common birth before Mysaria laughs and points out that such births wouldn't be chronicled. So the spy master gathers a crop of Targaryen bastards, or dragon seeds if you will, transported sneakily to Dragonstone by Alan. Rhaenyra gives them a genuinely rousing speech, but then leaves them to Vermithor's less than tender mercies. She basically has this cool moment of standing in front of Vermithor. She calms him down, and basically they share this look and this moment of understanding that, move out of the way, I'm picking. And in the words of Johnny Blaze, flame on. The bronze fury rages and eats the hopefuls until our old friend Hugh Hammer stands up to him heroically. And the cool thing about Hugh claiming Vermithor is that he is the grandson of King Jaehaerys, who was the last rider of Vermithor, and Hugh's mother is Sarah Targaryen, the disowned daughter of King Jaehaerys. So it's a little poetic that the grandson of King Jaehaerys is claiming his dragon, and it's almost like the dragon recognizes that connection and is like, to you. On top of the fact that he heroically stood there and willingly was about to accept the blaze of Vermithor as to let the female Targaryen bastard flee. Meanwhile, Ulf, trying to escape the death caverns under Dragonstone, happens across Silverwing, steps into a pit of eggs, or a hatch of eggs, clutch of eggs, whatever it's called, and awakens Silverwing, who then looks at him, and almost like a donkey and dragon moment from Shrek, like, yeah, you're mine, bitch. Ulf takes Silverwing for a joyride over King's Landing as if to impress his old drinking buddies, and the Prince Regent, Aemon, gives chase on the enormous Vhagar. Wisely, he nopes out of the situation when he realizes just what's waiting for him on Dragonstone, which is Rhaenyra standing there with Hugh on Vermithor, Syrax, her dragon, standing right behind her, and then Silverwing with Ulf on top of the castle. And he just turns around, basically just like, yeah, I don't want that smoke yet. And Rhaenyra kind of gives him a look that says, you better run. And it's duly noted that she's taken a ruthless risk with other people's lives, and it has paid off. You have to hope she takes better lessons from that than Daenerys did in her time. Meanwhile, at Harrenhal, Daemon is still having visions of his brother Viserys, now older and wizened, and questioning the value of the crown. The new young Lord Oscar Tully, Lord Paramount of the Riverlands, is deeply unconvinced by Daemon personally, but he holds to his family's oath to Rhaenyra, and he will bring the other River Lords with him. The way he does so is interesting, however. He makes a show of defying Daemon, throwing Daemon's tyrannical behavior back in his face to establish his own credentials amongst the older lords. He engineers Daemon's execution of his loyal follower, Sir Willem Blackwood, but thereby secures the river lords he needs. The camera lingers on Daemon's face as he does so, rather than showing us the injury for once, and it's hard to read his emotions. Regret? Probably. Determination? Possibly. Oscar's a force to be reckoned with, but now so is Daemon. Back with the Greens, Sir Larys Strong makes a rare mistake in ignoring Lord Jasper Ironrod Wild's warning that Seasmoke has a new rider, and he's probably wise to pressure the injured King Aegon to rush his recovery, however you want to describe what he's going through as, before his younger brother tries to kill him and take the throne. Alicent struggles to shake off the mob attack from previous episode of Smallfolk. Her wound is not the only thing that will leave a scar, as the Kingsguard who failed to protect her are sent to the wall as punishment. She goes with Sir Rickard into the woods and apparently plans to stay there, camping in a tent and occasionally doing some light swimming. Is this some ploy to draw out her missing father, or is she sick of the lot of them? One can hardly blame her, so as the episode ends, Rhaenyra is triumphant. She can now call on 6 dragons in the riders, her own Syrax, Adam Seasmoke, Ulf Silverwing, Hughes Vermithor, Baela's young moon dancer, and Jacaerys' Vermax. And, there's Rhaena hiking around the area looking for a dragon. We know she's going to find Sheep Stealer. I'll get into that when I talk about the finale, but whether or not she rides Sheep Stealer will be a testament as to the books, or the book, if you will. They've been changing quite a bit up. There's nothing wrong with that. You gotta have some differences between a show and a book of the same material. But Jacaerys is furious with his mother. Ulf, Hugh, and Adam have yet to be tested. Daemon has indeed rallied the River Lords, but his loyalty remains in question, and if Aegon really is recovering, who will rule in King's Landing, the king or his regent? In addition to a climactic face-off, we can get the answers to these questions next time. I will say the writing on House of the Dragon Season 2 has become sharper and sharper as we've gone along. In the Red Sowing, there's real terror and tension as the dragon seeds face the dragons, and excellent machinations and vicious politicking from Daemon and Oscar as they win the allegiance, however shaky, of the River Lords. Rhaenyra finally has things going her way, but there are enough shaky allies around her to make you worry that it won't last. And Aemon finally experiences a threat big enough to make even Vhagar's rider think twice, which is fun to see. And there are still mysteries to be solved. What will come of Rhaena's quest, and what is it that Alicent is doing? But the points that need to be clear are crystal clear. And now, talking about the finale, the queen who ever was. And dear sweet baby Dracarys, they've done it again. Another episode of House of the Dragon has labored to move pieces into place and establish character dynamics and deliver some beautifully written dialogue, and failed utterly to deliver the hoped for action alongside it. There's been one real battle this entire season, and that was the Burning Mill episode, which, not even the Burning Mill episode, the Red Dragon and the Gold. That episode was the only episode to really have a true fight in it. And it wasn't even most of the episode. It was the last 7 minutes of it. But in terms of story and drama, this 8th episode was a triumph, or would have been had it arrived 2 or 3 episodes ago. But for a season finale to be all cliffhanger and no spectacle is close to unforgivable. Seriously, as we finish this week, we have the armies of the Riverlands, the Lannisters, the Starks, and the Hightowers converging on Harrenhal. We have a Tyroshi fleet sailing to challenge the Black Blockade of King's Landing. We have Rhaenyra ready to unleash her dragons on Castle Rock and Old Town. And we have important confrontations for Rhaenyra with Daemon and Alicent. And that's all great stuff. Fantastic shift from neutral into forward drive. The problem is that none of these forces actually meet this episode. And the closest we get to a fight is some mud wrestling. Mud wrestling. But we'll have to wait, 2 more years to see the outcome of all this elaborate preparation? Will Rhaena even have finished hiking by then? The problem is not really with this episode, but with the incredibly slow pace earlier in season 2. And the fact that the season is only 8 episodes long. And that's what creates the startlingly abrupt turn, as Rhaenyra, determined to recruit new dragon riders last episode, wonders too late if she can trust them, and judging by Ulf's table manners, they might indeed be out of place. Though Hugh and Adam are coping better, Alicent, last seen floating in a lake on a camping trip, is suddenly back in the Red Keep and formulating a plan to save as many of her kids as possible. Just in time, though, given that her second son seems willing to murder at least 2 of the others, and that's because the Cold War has entered a new and warmer phase. Awful Aemon, humiliated after he was scared off from Dragonstone last episode, is taking out some of that pent-up fury on whatever enemy town he happens to pass. Notably here, the barbecue formerly known as the town of Sharppoint. Population considerably fewer than yesterday. Rhaenyra has a full season after everyone else accepted that there's no peaceful way out of this, though her immediate decision to flame civilians it's out of step with that. Luckily, Alicent's visit with a proposal to hand over King's Landing in return for the life of Helena and her children seems to offer another path forward. Though that final lingering shot on Alicent and the revelation that Aegon, whose life she reluctantly agreed to forfeit, has already fled, suggests that there may be wheels within wheels for Alicent. More importantly, perhaps the vision quest that Daemon has spent his season on comes to a climax with a striking series of visions that might sum up Aegon's dream, the vision that sent the Targaryens to Westeros in the first place. Now, certainly he saw the Night King slaughter dragons, puddles of blood, a comet, and Daenerys cradling her newborn dragons. He doesn't obviously see the actual prince who was promised, Jon Snow, but it's some nice connective tissue even so. More to the point, he sees Rhaenyra sitting on the Iron Throne, and Helena appears very much in prophetess, not idiot mode this episode, to tell him how things are. It also turns Daemon around, so that when Rhaenyra, showing no small measure of personal bravery, flies to Harrenhal to confront him after Sir Simon warns her of the possibility of treachery, he swears fealty. He does so with an expression suggesting he can't believe he's doing it, but he's clearly accepted the truth the vision showed him, and at least to some degree his place in the world. There is some fun, loosely so, in this episode. Tywin Lannister's efforts to win over the Tyroshi and their Admiral Lohar are amusing even before he descends to mud wrestling and wife shagging. While there is a deeply twisted and incredibly disturbing horror comedy in Aegon's description of his injuries, while Larys is trying to save his life. The posturing by an increasingly angry Jacaerys against Hugh and Ulf is also kind of amusing, or would be if he didn't foresee trouble ahead. Tywin's efforts certainly look like trouble for Corlys Velaryon, who still doesn't have enough to do, but who at least gives Rhaenyra some solid advice this week, and then continues to screw up his relationship with his unacknowledged son, Alan. There's also that rarest of things, a genuinely great scene with Kristen Cole, who manages to express both an overwhelming sense of medieval romanticism and all-consuming despair as he marches off to battle dragons, certain he will die in the attempt. He infects Sir Gawain with the same emptiness that may not sound it, but it's an excellent scene. And for having our Sir Crispy free episode last week, it was kind of cool to see him again in a different light. He's not so cocky anymore. He's actually understanding the gravity of the situation. And I think he's starting to really realize this might not go as easy and exactly how we thought it was going to go. Largely, however, this is another episode that's strictly Rhaenyra's. She has brainstorming encounters with not only Daemon, but also with her new dragon riders, and most importantly, with her old friend Alicent. And there's a huge clearing of the air there, and Rhaenyra leaves believing there's a path to the throne not paved in slaughter. The fact that Alicent is still holding back, however, shows that there's still much more to come next season. And someone somewhere is holding Otto Hightower prisoner. Rhaena may have found the dragon she longs for in Sheepstealer. Armies are marching with dragons in the sky. The next episode will be a heck of a season finale. Wait a minute. This was the season finale. You see the problem here? This whole episode has just been build up to nothing. So I can only hope that season 3, 2 years from now, will be something extraordinary. I'm hoping it's like Battle of the Bastards every week. Something crazy happens every episode. We need some epic fighting. Like, I know they have a budget, and with the show with multiple dragons, it's a little harder to do all that, but they have to do it. After this season of just build up, and all cliffhanger, the only way to pay that off is in some extraordinary bloodshed and fire, you know? But this episode has some of the best and most dramatic confrontations in the show so far, from Rhaenyra's reunion with Daemon to the unexpected visit from Alicent. It felt like loads of pieces were moved into place for the future, a really exciting future at that. And then yet again, it proved to be all cliffhanger for next time, and the season finale needs to do more than that. And I hope they're planning to start the Civil War sometime, right? Soon? The Dance of Dragons has to happen, right? But now that we have to wait about 2 years for season 3, we can begin the long speculation that is what comes next. Assuming a key moment would be the battle over the God's Eye, which alone is enough for a season finale. It's a huge turning point for the story. On both sides, the show has already made some major changes and redirections from the source material. Will Rhaenyra face her book death? It's not really looking that way. In fact, it's looking more and more like she will actually sit the Iron Throne. And in other news, a new show in a small little teaser, nothing worth really putting on here. I'll put in a clip that I upload, but it's for the next spin-off called A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which takes place 100 years before Game of Thrones and 100 years after this, the House of the Dragon. And that's got to have more fighting than a show about dragons fighting, right? But you never know. Until our next trip to Westeros, you will continue to get some incredible content. Andy and I are cooking up a few different things for you guys. Stay tuned for in-depth revisitations of Dexter and Dexter New Blood, along with my review of this weekend's SummerSlam. And now that I'm back from vacation, it's full steam ahead. I appreciate all the love and support that you guys are all showing the Screen Squad. I will see you next time. Until then,
Damn.